Hello world, today we're here with Will Tennyson. We're going to be making some delicious coffee. Will, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Man, I'm excited. Do you drink coffee a lot?
Coffee is the key to my heart. It's my favorite drink of all time.
Yeah? What do you like to drink?
I just drink black coffee.
Black coffee?
Yeah. And if I have a cold brew, a little bit of sugar-free syrup.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Will's a black coffee guy, or a very basic coffee guy. Today we're about to blow his mind.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're making a salted caramel, sweet cream cold foam over an iced Americano. Have you ever made coffee like espresso on an espresso machine before?
Never, no.
All right, cool.
Especially out of the back of a truck.
Especially out of the back of a truck. So this is true like off-road, on the go type of stuff here. All right, so this is a very basic espresso machine. It's really good for like new coffee people or beginners or all the way up to advanced. So it's pretty much gonna do everything for you. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna take this here. This is called the portafilter.
Okay.
So this is called the portafilter. And it's got a basket where it's going to hold all the grounds. And all we're going to do is put it in here and push it until you hear a click.
Okay.
And it's going to automatically dose as much coffee in there as you need.
All right, let's do it.
So with espresso, in the basket, you want 18 to 22 grams of coffee.
Okay.
And that'll be the perfect amount. But here, we're not measuring it.
Yeah.
We're not, like I told him earlier, we're not coffee snobs around here.
Yeah.
We're just trying to make yummy coffee that's going to get us caffeinated. All right, so now you're going to take it out of there. We lost a little bit.
Okay.
Shout out the fallen soldiers. But we're going to just put it here, put your hand over the top and kind of tap it a couple times. Like tap the actual thing on there. Okay. So now we got to kind of tap down a little bit.
What? Okay.
We're going to take this piece here so you can put it put the bottom part here.
Yeah.
And then, so this is called the distributor. It's just going to kind of flatten out the coffee.
Okay.
Good.
There we go.
And then the other side, so then you flip it over. So this is called the tamp. So this is where you want to put it down and actually compress the puck.
Okay.
Because that's going to make sure that we get a nice shot of espresso.
All right.
And if you could estimate about 40 pounds of pressure.
40 pounds of pressure. Is this what you have to be thinking about, like being a barista? No.
It's not that serious. I mean, it is. There's like world barista.
This seems pretty serious.
There's world barista championships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It gets really intense. But as long as you push it hard, it's cool.
Well, is this a fruity roast or a nutty roast?
This is a nutty caramely roast.
That's my favorite.
This is going to be perfect for our espresso shot.
Okay.
All right, so we got the puck fully compressed. Now we're going to simply take it. This is the hardest part.
Oh, shit.
Just getting it locked right into here.
Okay.
So go this way with it. All you do is press this button.
That I can do.
And it's going to come out with 2 shots of espresso.
All right.
So out of 10, how difficult would you say it is to make your own shot of espresso?
I'd say because I screwed up a few times, I'm gonna give it like a 6.5.
Okay.
6.5, 7.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's still, I would put that on the easier side still.
Yeah, I think after like maybe 3 times, I'd be like pretty.
Especially
pretty good
like just because I told you exactly what to do, you're able to just crank it out. All right, so we got our coffee here. Now we're gonna assemble our drink.
Okay.
So there's your cup. Go ahead and go in the cooler and grab some ice.
All right.
Solid.
Yep. There we go.
And just pour the ice into the cup.
All of it? Yeah.
Cool. So what we're gonna make here is called an Americano.
Okay.
So an Americano is water and espresso. And where it came from is back during World War II, when U.S. troops were in Italy, they would order the espresso, right? Because that's all they drink in Italy is espresso.
Yeah.
And it was too strong for these pussy-ass Americans, right?
Wow, really?
Yeah. So
oh
it was
my
too
God.
strong, so they would water it down. And that's where the term Americano came from.
Wow, that's cool.
They would have to water the coffee down for American soldiers in Italy. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, it's actually super cool in my opinion. Okay, so all we're gonna do is a little bit of sugar-free vanilla syrup.
All right.
Maybe like a couple teaspoons.
Okay. Usually when I order at Starbucks, I'm like half sweet.
Okay, cool.
I'm a half sweet guy.
Yeah, just do a little splash then. Plenty, yeah.
Good. Okay.
Perfect. So that was on point. All right, so next up we're gonna do the water.
Okay.
Plenty. All right, next is going to be, we'll do the espresso next.
Espresso?
So just pour the espresso right on top. All right, this is my favorite thing to introduce people to, and that's making your own cold foam. It's probably one of the easiest things you can do, the most macro-friendly things you can make, and it's delicious. It's literally like ice cream or whipped cream, but with virtually 0 calories. So
really?
Yeah, it's got like less than 50 calories for a serving of it, and it's not gonna taste like it. So all you need to do to make your own cold foam is you get your cup, right?
Okay.
And we're gonna take some regular Plain old
half and half. Okay.
You're cool with dairy?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just go ahead and pour maybe like 1 or 2 ounces in there. That's good. So you just need a little bit.
Okay.
And then what we're going to use today is a little bit of
salted caramel
syrup.
Okay.
So just take this and just give it like 2 squirts. Solid.
Good.
Cool. And then final step, just take a hand frother.
Okay.
And then froth it, just like move it around and stuff for like 15 seconds, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It just
Yeah.
foams right up instantly.
Yeah. I've never had cold foam before.
Yeah. It's so good. And it's literally done. That was like less than 10 seconds.
And that's it?
Yeah. It's ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good, right? I'll grab that from you. This part right here, this is the important part.
Yeah.
In the industry, we call this the money shot.
Oh, the money shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you go ahead and pour the cold foam right on top.
Do I have to do a certain clockwise, counterclockwise?
Hey, whatever you feel.
All right.
Whatever you feel Mother Nature's telling you to do.
There we go.
Perfect.
Go.
And then we're just gonna add one more.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're
That's
just gonna
pretty.
add one more little splash of half and half. There you go.
Good.
Solid.
That's definitely the prettiest cold brew I think I'm ever gonna.
You made that.
Yeah. Wow.
You crafted that. This dude should be a barista.
Yeah. We skip over me making it and just the final product.
All right, sweet. So that's it. Let me give it a try real quick.
Okay.
Live reaction. Let's go.
Whoa. Oh my God. The nutty caramel
The espresso's
coffee
really good, right?
goes so well with like
Yeah.
the cold. Wow.
Hell
It's literally like melted ice cream.
yeah. Yeah, so good.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's how many calories?
This is less than 50. It's like 45. No
Like,
sugar.
if I didn't know, I'd be like, this is a drink I could have like only on my birthdays. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No sugar, less than 50 calories. Salted caramel, sweet cream, cold foam. Over an iced Americano with some sugar-free vanilla syrup.
10 out of 10.
Hard to beat.
Yeah. Thank you,
All right,
man.
dude. You got your coffee.
Yeah.
I got my coffee. Let's chat.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
Welcome to the Tailgate Coffee Table. Today we have Will Tennyson. Will, thank you for being here, man.
I'm excited to be here.
It's actually kind of fate that we're here together right now.
It is, man.
A couple weeks ago, Will had messaged me on Instagram and was like, dude, I think you're super handsome. We should hang out. No, I'm playing. He was like, hey, man, I love your content. I would love to do like some sort of collaboration video to share with my followers with some healthy recipes for Starbucks. And I was like, sick. So what if you did my YouTube? Maybe we could do it a little exchange of goods and services here. And he was like, okay, cool, but I live in Canada. I was like, all right, well, I'm going through the west coast of the States coming up. I'll be in Denver pretty soon. He's like, oh, really? I'll be in Denver the 23rd to the 28th. And I was like, oh, I'll be in Denver the 24th. And it was just by fate that brought us here today.
Truly destiny.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, so I'm sure many of the people watching will know who you are. You have a huge YouTube following. You're hilarious. You make really, really funny, cool content that I think entertains a lot of people, and that's the value that you put out to the world, and I think that's really cool, and it's something that I admire. But I want to give the mic to you, and just like I haven't met you in person yet, and so I just want to know who's Will.
Yeah, so my name's Will. I'm 29. I turn 30 next month, which is kind of scary. I've been doing YouTube for 5 years now. Started almost 5 years, started June 2019. And you know, I used to watch a lot of YouTube growing up as a kid. And you know, it was kind of like I was kind of bullied in school a lot, didn't have a lot of friends. And YouTube was like my place for me to kind of go and just like not think about shit in my life. And it was just kind of like my happy place. And I was also a very shy kid. So a lot of times for like school projects, I would never go up in front of the class to like present a presentation or anything. So I'd be like the one guy who had to request to make a video. So I didn't have to be in front of anybody. So through that, I ended up like learning to love making videos. So I started making video projects for school, high school. And then once I went through high school, I had nothing to make videos for because I went to university and then that was done. So I had no outlet to create. So that's kind of how I got into YouTube. And with the fitness side, I used to be overweight as well. I used to be like 288 pounds,
Wow.
5'8".
Wow.
So I was like bigger kid, bullied in school, lost a lot of weight. I lost over 110 pounds in 5 months. I had an eating disorder.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I had an eating disorder. It was pretty bad. My parents were like, it was like making my mom cry, and you know, it was like a bad time. And my dad started getting me into the gym. We have a little like set of dumbbells in the basement. So I started doing some curls. You start to see the bicep vein for the first time. And then I kind of got hooked from there. So I kind of mixed like the fitness with, you know, making the YouTube videos. And I've always loved kind of just like making like, just, I always love laughing when I watch videos. So it's like, how can I mix like information with entertainment? And that's kind of like my goal. And so I try not to take the content too seriously. I try to have a bunch of good laughs, but also when you leave the video, you kind of took something away from it. And that's been my goal.
Man, cool. Man, I didn't know a lot of that stuff you just shared, especially the stuff about weight loss and being bullied, and what my goal is with this series, this show, this podcast, whatever however you want to label it, I don't care, is just to create an environment where we can talk about things that people may not normally hear you talk about. So over a cup of coffee, I've had some amazing conversations.
I bet.
And then standing at the back of my truck or outside of my car, I've also had some amazing conversations. Like, you know, you go to dinner with a group of friends, and then somehow it ends up you're standing at your car with one friend, and you end up talking for like 45 minutes about the most deep, random shit ever. Yep. And that's pretty much why I created this environment, because there's just something about having a cup of coffee and standing outside of the bed of a truck or whatever that just allows you to, I don't know, drop some like veil of vulnerability, or allows you to connect deeper and have like an engaging, authentic conversation. And so that's why I have you here, because I have seen you around for years, and I feel like, I don't know, something told me that there's probably more to you than people see. And so I wanted to just have this conversation and learn more about you and connect with you. And so I think that sharing kind of your story right there gives me a little bit of insight and allows me to pick a few things that we can chat about. So first of all, let's talk about your weight loss. And you said specifically you dealt with an eating disorder. If you're comfortable, talking about that, I'd love to just hear more about your experience with that and how you have dealt with that, and maybe even continue to battle some things, because we're ever growing in life. So I'd love if you just expand and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people who end up developing eating disorders, I never think it actually ends up starting that way. I think it's like you're going through like a weight loss phase, things are actually looking like pretty good. And for me, it actually started off quite healthy. I was like losing weight, I was like working out a lot, and people at school were like, oh, like, Will, like, damn, like, face is looking leaner, you're looking good. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm getting like, people are actually like noticing, especially like in high school, like when that stuff apparently mattered to me.
Yeah, right.
So I kind of like took that and I felt really good about it. And then I was like, I want more of it. So I want to rush this process. So it went from being like super healthy about it, like making good food choices, to like not eating food. And like I would go through an entire day of like, I'd wake up in the morning and I have a little bowl of cereal. I'd pretend to my mom and dad that I packed lunch, or I'm going to buy lunch at school, but I never ate lunch. Come home, have a little dinner, and then go to bed. And then I would just run. I stopped, like, I didn't do anything. Like, I would just run just to burn calories. And I just looked so unhealthy. I looked so weak. And, I got to a point that I was like, it really, like, messed up my mind. I started to, like, see food as, like, good food, bad food. I have this, like, really, like, this, like, famous story that I tell people during this time of my life, that in Toronto, we have this, like, chain restaurant called Swiss Chalet.
Okay.
It's like a rotisserie chicken thing. And you basically you get your meal, and on the side, you get a little bun. And I remember I was eating with my family, and I'm just, like, staring at this bun because I wanted to eat it so badly. But, like, in my mind, I'm like, I can't have it because it's carbs. And then I think I was just so, like, depleted, and, like, I just, like, wanted it so bad. I ended up caving, and I had that bun. And then I went to sleep that night. And then at 3 a.m, I got up because I couldn't sleep because I had the bun. And I went down into my basement, and I ran on the treadmill until I burnt that bun off. And my dad had to come down and try to get me off the treadmill. So, yeah, it was, like, really bad. I don't know, like, actually, like, a pivotal moment where things started to get better for me. Things started to gradually get better. Like, I started to kind of, lift weights. And I started to, like, expand my diet a bit more, and I started to eat a little bit more, but I was still very, like, disordered with, like, how I saw food, how I saw a lot of things. Like, when I went to university, I was obsessed with staying, like, lean. Like I would like not eat any carbs. I was just very like, I can't have this. I can have this only. And it wasn't until like I really like, even like when I first started YouTube, I was a little bit like still messed up in terms of how I saw things. I was a lot more like bingey. And then when I didn't binge, I would like completely diet like crazy. But eventually I've gotten to a point now where like I'm just like so happy with where I am, and like I can like have things, not feel bad about it, not think twice about it, and it's just a really good place to be.
Yeah. So do you think that as you've evolved on your kind of fitness journey, that there was anything, were you conscious of those issues you had with eating as you have grown on this journey, or did it just kind of get better as you matured? What, like, I'm just curious, because I've dealt with binge eating as well, and I'm curious, you know, you said there wasn't a pivotal moment really, but was there some sort of like self-talk that transitioned you to this point of feeling more comfortable with food, feeling like you didn't have to go, and that's the worst thing when people are like, I just ate this cookie, I gotta go on the treadmill to burn off the exact amount of calories. So was there some sort of self-talk or like some sort of affirmations that you told yourself to kind of help you move into a better mindset with food? I
think you're right. I think I was definitely maturing. I think like as you get older, your priorities change. And like I don't care as much about being shredded as I did when I was 24, 23. I'm married now, and like those are the things in my life that matter to me now. Like it's like I want to be healthy. I want to like just, I think healthy and like being lean are like two separate things. And I kind of never really understood that until now. So now it's kind of all about like, how can I like set myself up for like the future? And like, how can I just like do good for my body, sleep? So I think it's just like understanding that like your priorities as you get older are going to change, and like that's normal, and that's what probably should happen. And yeah, I think it's just like, you know, again, knowing that being lean the way you look is not the end all be all. Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, is pretty much doing things now to set you up to live a healthier, quote unquote, more successful life as you get older. Because a lot of people don't, and you see it, and they're walking with like a limp, or they're walking hobbled, or they have health issues. And to me, that's one of the most important things, is like to maintain a healthy body with no like cardiac issues or no things that plague a lot of people, especially in America in general. But kind of moving to a similar but different subject, in the terms of like values around how you carry yourself and how you live, what are some of kind of the core values to who you are? Because you said you're married now. I don't know how recent that is, but congrats. October 14th. Oh, wow. Yeah, new. Yeah. Well, congrats, dude. Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you. So yeah, just kind of maybe some of the values around how you carry yourself, how you approach your relationship romantically and with friends. Just a little bit of insight into that side of you would be cool. Yeah. Oh man, I feel like that's wow. You know, I think a lot of who I am, I guess with everybody, is kind of like shaped with who you used to be as a kid, and like kind of experiences that you had, and like trauma that you kind of went through. And you know, my wife is like, she's into that spiritual mindfulness, like she does all those things. So she's taught me a lot, and I've kind of like realized a lot about myself and like the actions that I like who I am through like my past. And you know, I was a kid who was like not very well accepted, and you know, like kind of like pushed off to the side for a lot of things. So a big priority for me is, you know, to be respectful to anybody, everybody, like, and like no matter who they are, make sure that they feel comfortable, make sure that they feel equal, make sure that there's no like sort of like a hierarchy and like who anyone is. And yeah, it's a big thing for me. I think that especially now, I think like in today's world, social media, people like look up to these people, see people as like better than everybody else, and like they like worship these people as gods, but we are no different than anybody else on the street. And like that's a big thing for me. Like it's like, you know, I just want to make sure that everyone feels like on like the same kind of playing field. Yeah I love it. That's a super important thing to do, and a super underrated thing, I think, and something that's maybe not practiced enough, or maybe it is and we just don't see it. You know, I think maybe the loudest ones are like the 2% that scream, and then the quote unquote most people are pretty level-headed, and I think that more people are respectful than we realize. But also I do think that it is an issue, and you know,
today's society, because you never know what someone is going through. You never know what kind of day they're having. And it's easy to, like, someone cuts you off or they do something and maybe they just literally didn't even realize that they did it, and they're just in a super bad mood and you're like, fuck you. But they're dealing with something heavier that you didn't know about, and it was an accident, and then you just made things worse, and now they just feel like total shit about themselves. And so I think that being respectful is a super important value to have, to everybody. And that's something that I try to live by as well, to like love everyone as best I can, just because it makes life better. It makes you more fulfilled. It makes other people's lives better, and overall it just increases the quality of your life. So I totally agree with that. And you talked about feeling or not being accepted as a kid, as a younger kid, and what kind of stuff did you deal with when you're talking about that?
Again, so there's another pivotal moment. Like when people try to start losing weight, you start losing weight, then you kind of stop, and it's kind of like you start so many times and you like fail so many times, but there's like that one moment where you're like, I'm doing it this time, and you end up doing it. And when we were in high school, a lot of us we would walk to this pizza place for lunch. And so I would go with a few of my friends, and we'd sit at this table, and then after we get the pizza, the owner of the restaurant would come out with like a basket of lollipops, and you hand it to all the students. And he hands it to everybody, but he doesn't hand it to me. And I was like, oh, can I have one? And he's like, no. He's like, you don't need one. And so I was like, and then everyone started laughing. And I was like, wow, like I feel like so shit right now, and I felt like so hurt by it, but I laughed because like that's kind of like you just to protect yourself. And so I felt like so kind of like shafted and just kind of like left out of that situation, and it really scarred me like a lot. Like, and I went home that night, and I was like, dude, like this is the time I'm doing this. Like I'm losing this weight because I'm sick of this. And like that was literally the time that I started, and there's no looking back from there.
That sounds honestly very traumatizing. And unfortunately, it's a lot of the rhetoric coming from adults to kids is like that, and it's very tough to deal with as a kid. I think being a kid is really freaking hard.
It is.
So man, that's wild, but I can definitely see how that would fuel you. You know, there's dark, negative things we use as fuel, and then there's positive, other intrinsic things we use as fuel. And you said you were in high school when that happened?
Yeah.
And then, so when did you deal with, was that the same time you were dealing with the eating stuff as well?
So that was like, I think I was always dealing with body image issues.
Okay.
So that was like the start of me for the first time, like being like, I'm going to lose all this weight, which then went into the eating disorder. But I'm lucky because I'm somebody in general who I like thrive through shame. Like if you shame me and like you say something to me, I'm going to take that as fuel and I'm going to become better. Where I know a lot of people kind of like that shuts them down. So I think I'm kind of lucky in that sense.
Yeah.
Because I think it could have got a lot worse.
Absolutely. And I don't mean to like sit on this topic, but I think that it's something that's very important and not really talked about a ton. And I guess if there's somebody that's, you know, dealing with body image issues or some sort of eating issues that may not be fueled by shame like that, what totally non-professional like advice or what words would you say if there were one of your followers that sent you a DM and was saying, hey Will, like if they heard this podcast, right, and they heard everything you said and they were like, hey Will, I heard everything you said, it really resonated with me and I'm dealing with a lot of the same stuff, like how did you pull through that? I'm not really fueled by being like shamed. It doesn't provide any motivation for me. How can I get through this?
I would say you have to tell yourself, just because you're not happy with where you are, it doesn't mean that you can't change. And I was somebody like, when you're like at that point in your life where you feel like, damn, this sucks, you feel like it's going to be like that forever. And you're like, I can't possibly see a light at the end of the tunnel, but there is. And yeah, I think you just have to believe that for yourself. I think the first step in getting better and like making a change is making sure that you can believe in yourself and knowing that you can make a difference. Because I think the self-esteem and just like your overall, like your confidence in yourself is shot at that point. So it's kind of like slowly developing that, slowly like doing small things during the day to get some small wins and just start to build some confidence and go from there.
Okay. So if you're listening, just to kind of recap what Will said, is just if you're dealing with some of that stuff, I mean, I've dealt with a lot of that stuff even into my fully adult life. Doing this, like the small little wins, like choosing to eat like a normal serving of food is a huge win when you're dealing with stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's something that I realized in my like binge eating journey, is that choosing to just have 2 pieces of pizza instead of like 6 is a huge win.
Huge.
And you're like, when you can do that and then realize you're still enjoying your favorite foods and you still feel good because you ate the food that maybe you were craving or felt emotionally needed to eat, but you didn't eat 6 pieces of it instead of 2, it feels really good. And I feel like that small win can compile and stack up and match with other small wins that are similar and just take you further than you could have ever expected yourself to get.
Exactly. The same, it goes with the gym too. You get so like fixated on like, I want to be shredded, but let's go over, like I added 5 pounds to my bench this week, so let's celebrate that and like kind of carry that momentum on. And I never used to be like that, and now I am. I celebrate all my mini wins. If I add a rep, I'm proud of myself. And what that does is that just, it keeps your like motivation high, keeps you excited to go, and it just keeps consistency.
Why do you think it's so tough for people to celebrate the small wins? Do you think it's due to like what people are comparing themselves to on social media?
Yeah.
What we're here, like the rhetoric we're hearing around where you should be? You think that's why it's so hard to celebrate a small win?
I think we're just so fixated on the end result that we don't kind of like take in the journey. It's like people always say life goes by so fast, but it's because you're not taking it in my opinion. I think life goes by like as fast as you make it. Like if you actually are like present in the moment every single day, it really doesn't go by that fast. And I think that it kind of like, I hear it all the time, and I'm kind of like, well, it's because are you truly there? Like are you like only thinking about the future? What about right now?
Mm-hmm. And as you talk, it sounds like you're very present. You know, you're talking about presence, but it sounds like you're a very present, mindful person. And you mentioned that your wife is sort of spiritual or very mindful. What kind of things do you do to keep yourself present, and how do you maintain that sense of mindfulness about yourself?
I think it's all just about being grateful. So every single morning, I know my life right now is like, I'm so grateful for it, and I know that a lot of people would kill for the opportunity that I have, and I think I'm given that opportunity for a reason. And you know, I would say I used to take a lot of things for granted, but I think as you get older, like when I was a kid, I would look at people who are older, I'm like, that's never going to be me. But as you get older, you kind of see those people and you're going to be like, I'm going to be that one day. So it's like, let's make these moments count now. And you know, I get to wake up every day to like the person I love the most in the world. I get to travel the world with my best friend and shoot for work. And it's like, how can I not be grateful? Really? So it's like taking in the moments and just like, yeah, it's really just soaking it in. I don't know how much more, like, I don't know how to give advice on that. I guess it's just a state of mind that eventually, hopefully you get to.
No, I mean, there's no advice needed really. Like, it's very, honestly, it's unfortunate that it's kind of cliche to say be grateful, because everyone's like, list 5 things you're grateful for to start your day. But it really, like, being grateful for everything you have down to like the smallest detail. Like, I'm grateful that I have socks on my feet. I'm grateful that I had shampoo to wash my hair. Like, it makes you feel so much more present. It makes you feel so much more happy to be alive and fulfilled, and gives you such a better energy to show up for yourself and show up for those around you.
There's a few things I did. I don't do them anymore, but it definitely helped me with my mindset. One thing was every single day when I woke up, my feet touch the floor, I say thank you out loud. That was one thing I did. Another thing I did was before bed every night, I have a mason jar with a few pieces of paper that I cut up with a Sharpie. And right before bed, I write down one thing that I loved about my day. Even if it was just like the most basic day where I'm at home, like on my own, it's like I had a sick cup of coffee. And I put that in the jar, and at the end of every month I read them. And you kind of go over and you're like, wow, like things are amazing. You know, so those are just like little things I recommend for some people who, you know, struggle with like seeing the beauty in every day, to try doing, and eventually I think it kind of catches on, and you don't even need those things anymore.
Well, yeah, it's like you mentioned, just maturing as a human being. It takes some work at first, but then those things kind of become ingrained in who you are, into your DNA, and kind of just become part of what you do and how you live. And sometimes it just takes those little conscious habits at first, and then they just build into full-blown sense of self. And I think that's super awesome. Man, So I want to talk a little bit about your journey on YouTube. I don't want to, like, content is important to me because it's what I do. It's my career, and it's also your career. And I admire the following and the success that you've had and what you do and the way that you bring value to people through entertainment and comedy and just fun videos. And so I want to know a little bit about your journey on YouTube, because it's only been 5 years, and to do what you've done in 5 years is very impressive. And if no one tells you that, which I'm sure they do, but that's super awesome, man. I'm proud of you. Congrats. So if you just wanted to talk a little bit about your journey on YouTube, how you started posting, and then what has made you want to continue to make content and keep putting things out to the world to see.
So like I was mentioning before, I mean, a lot of people who start YouTube, funny enough, that's kind of like what they want to do when they're older. For me, that was never a plan. I always wanted to be a chef. I was about to go to culinary school to do cooking stuff, and but I just started posting on YouTube for, like, you know, just to create, because again, like that outlet I had in school. I didn't really actually want anyone to watch it. And it's funny because I posted a few videos, and then my mom, she's a very like outspoken person. Like, she went to Orange Theory, like with the gym that she goes to, and she told all the members, she's like, oh, like, you know, Will made this video, you should check it out. I'm like, oh, Mom, like, that's so embarrassing. Like, why are you telling them? But so I kind of went through that phase of like the beginning phase where like people, your friends, close friends, like make fun of you. You kind of learn who your real friends are, you know. So I went through that phase. Eventually, like, I started to kind of get like a lot of like traction, like randomly. Like, I woke up one morning and I gained 4,000 subscribers from like 300 to 4,000. Oh, wow. And I'm like, Dad, like, look at this. Like, and he's like, oh, that can't be right. You know, and then the next day it was like 8,000, 12,000. Like, before you know it, I was at 100,000 in like a couple months. So then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to culinary school. I'm going to do this because there's obviously something here. So I started doing that. This was during COVID. So I there wasn't really much to do in terms of videos. I was like locked in my home, especially in Canada. So I was kind of just like making really random, stupid videos, but for some reason they kind of stuck. And I think for me, like the most interesting journey on YouTube is that I've been so many different versions of me, and I've learned so much about myself through like just like different phases of the whole process. Like, I've almost wanted to quit so many times doing it, because what I was doing in the moment like wasn't sticking, and it just like wasn't fulfilling for me. And you know, it's like when things go bad on social media and the numbers are like low, you're like, the world's over, you know? So I had a bunch of those moments. And then I got into a moment that was like, it was kind of like the complete opposite, where I'm like viral. And I was like, they were working, and I was getting like the most views I ever got in my life, but I was so unhappy with it because I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing. And then fast forward to now, I'm at this place now where like I'm making what I truly want to make. I'm doing what I truly want to do. And yeah, I still think there's definitely a lot of growth to be had there. I think right now I'm still like, I think a lot of people on social media, like, they have that mindset that like visibility equals success. So I have to constantly be posting, and if I don't post, I get forgotten about, and then like, oh my God, like, holy shit, you know? So I'm constantly posting every single week. It's a lot for me, to be honest. Like, I struggle a lot with that, to maintain that every week. So I think for me, eventually it's getting to the headspace where I'm like, okay, do you know what? Like, I'm not going to post this week. It's okay. Like, take a deep breath and just continue to kind of make videos that, you know, are impactful. And when I say impactful, I think people kind of take it as like too seriously. Like, oh, like, you really want to make this like impact on somebody's life. I'm like, impactful, impact could be like so many different things. It could be like making someone laugh. Like, if someone's having a bad day and they just like tune in for 15 minutes and they're like, yeah, that was really funny, and I forgot about like my shit for like a little bit. That's impactful. So I think it's just like, you know, a mixture of like, let's have some serious shit in my channel, but let's also have some fun shit, some stupid shit. You might not like it all the time, but like, it's just, at least it's a mixture of everything.
Yeah, I appreciate that a ton, because like, making an impact, it can come in so many different ways. Like you said, it doesn't have to be changing somebody's life, like life altering stuff. It can just be making them laugh for 10 minutes. Like you said, literally what you just said, making someone forget about the shit they were dealing with earlier today and allowing them to laugh for a few minutes watching your content. And it feels good because you know that you're putting something out there that people enjoy, and you're being yourself, which is also probably the most important thing, is that you're not, and I'm sure you've dealt with it, you've probably made content where you were not being you, but you were learning, you were growing. You weren't doing that out of any other reason other than it was your first time doing it. So you're trying to figure things out and trying to navigate this crazy space of social media and being a human being at the same time. And too many people get caught up in that. And it can lead to, honestly, I think that's what leads to the detriment of a lot of creators, is trying so hard to be something that they're not, that their life cycle on social media ends up being like 2 years, 3 years. And so for someone to stick around for a long time and make it a lifelong career or a lifelong project and keep at it for a long time, they have to just be themselves. And again, that's another cliche thing to say, but it reigns so true when you actually are in it and creating, and you have the realization of like, wow, I can't maintain this facade and put on this face and do this for my entire life. There just comes a point where you have to accept, like, I gotta be who I am, otherwise I'm not gonna enjoy my life.
The best way to put like my mindset right now is like, I try to be the person that I needed when I was a kid watching YouTube. Like when I was a kid, who would I want to watch to help me when I was going through all those situations that I had? I want to be that for someone else who's in my situation. It's kind of like how I try to approach my content.
What's the most memorable thing that you've experienced on your journey as a creator? It could be like a video that you've done, or just like a moment from a video, or somebody you've met, just something that has really stuck with you your entire time, your entire life.
I have so many of those, man. Oh man. I really do think that it might sound cliche, but every video that I shoot, I'm so grateful to shoot it. And I can't specifically pick a moment. I think there's just such a beauty in like the opportunity that I have. Like I think there's like me traveling and like doing stuff like with my he's pretty much my little brother at this point. Like we're so close. Like I trust him with my life to be able to kind of come and do this shit. And like, that's just like, it almost makes you emotional, you know? So it's like, yeah, it's actually making me emotional. But yeah, like, I guess every moment I'm working on it is like a moment that I'm like, it's a pivotal moment, you know? But so many amazing people I've met, so many amazing stories that I've been able to kind of capture and see, and it's incredible.
Yeah, it is. And it's, again, I said, it's admirable, and it's cool to see that you're tuned into who you are while you're doing it, because a lot of people aren't. You know, that's kind of the reason that I'm doing this, is because I've been on social media for almost 8 years, and I've met a lot of cool people online, but I haven't, being like hyper independent and a solo creator, I haven't met a lot of them in person. And so now I'm getting the chance to experience these people in person. And I've very much like curated a list of people that I want to talk to, because unfortunately you meet a lot of people that you see online and it doesn't line up with what they're putting out or who they say they are. And it's a big letdown. And I think that this journey for me on this YouTube stuff is really about connecting with genuine people that I see online and sharing, getting to have you share stuff with the world that you probably won't share on your channel normally.
That's the beauty of this thing. I love this, because a lot of people, like, we make content with a topic. The topic's never really us. So it's really nice to be able to kind of have like a platform like this that you're doing, that, you know, because this is very valuable. I think there's a lot of lessons that people can kind of take from this, and I think this is really cool to give people outlets to kind of just like talk about stuff beyond just, you know, the work.
Well, dude, it's hard, because to be successful as a creator, you have to niche. You have to pick something and stick with that one thing, and oftentimes that becomes confused with who you are. It's like, for myself, and I've dealt with like an identity crisis of like, I am the macro barista, I am the coffee guy, but that's not who I am. And so I think that it is a very valuable platform to share and show people that there is so much more to us, because it's like, on Instagram, I use my feed is recipes. That's it. So people come to my page, they know my personal brand, and then on my stories, I'll share a little bit more of my personality and who I am, but never so to this depth, just because it's hard to get this out over a 30-second story or a 15-second story and be able to allow someone into who you truly are and into your heart and your soul, and to see what you have within and what you can, the value that you truly hold outside of the value that you put out on social media.
Absolutely. It's incredible.
Yeah, and so again, dude, that's why when you originally reached out and had said let's do a little coffee collab, and I was like, first of all, this guy's like really funny, and I actually think his content is cool. And then I was like, just to be transparent, I have a list of people that I wanted to chat with, and I didn't have your name on there, but when you messaged me, I was like, damn, like this would actually be really cool to chat with him, because I think that there's more to Meets the Eye. And I like searched on Spotify for any other podcast that you'd done too, and there was like a few things, and there was one specific part, I can't remember what show it was. It was like there wasn't a ton, but there was one where you talked about the bullying and the binge eating, and I was like, okay, there's a lot more depth to Will than I think people are seeing, and I want to connect with him, and I want to show that to the world. And so, yeah, dude, I really, really appreciate you being willing to link up and hang out.
Absolutely.
And as we kind of wrap up here, I wanted to ask you one more thing, and this is something that I ask on every episode of this show, just because I think it's kind of fun, and it's kind of something we don't hear as adults, and we hear it a lot as children and high schoolers, middle schoolers, whatever, is who do you want to be when you grow up? And it's such a tough question to answer, especially when you're young, because you have so much life to live that you have no idea what's going to happen. Who you want, quote unquote, who you want to be when you're 15 is going to differ completely from who you want to be when you're 21, 25, 28, whatever. And so, yeah, I just want to ask you, I don't think we ever stop growing up, first of all.
Yeah.
So who do you want to be when you grow up?
Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. I mean, I think I just want to be a happy person. I want to be like a good husband, a good father. I want to be there for my kids. I just want to have a simple life and, not stress and, just take in the simple things and not take life for granted and becoming that person. I'm not 100% there yet, but hopefully, by the time I grow up, I'm there and like, just grateful for everything. And career-wise, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do next couple months. It's just I just kind of take it as it is and just go with the flow.
Yeah.
But I guess as I grow up, I'm kind of taking it as a mindset thing. Just want to be the best version of myself, and just be around and be there, be happy, present.
Yeah. And doing that, become like living your life to be the best version of you allows you to take care of yourself.
Hope that was an okay answer. I don't know.
It's how there's no right or wrong. There's no okay. It's however you take the question.
What would you do? Like what about you?
Yeah. So it's not an interesting question. I mean, it kind of is in the way that oftentimes when you meet somebody, they say, "Who are you? What do you do?" And it's like, well, I make coffee. I like to say, if somebody asks me that, I'm like, what do you mean? Like for fun, for work, like who I am at my core? What do you mean? And so who I want to be is it's a weird answer. It's kind of like a spiritual answer in a sense, or like a holistic answer is I just want to be me, because I fully believe that if I choose to do the things that make me feel fulfilled, if I choose to be around the people that light me up and be in situations that are like a fuck yes, like yes, I want to be here, I feel like that's going to just make me me. And it's kind of like you said, be the best version of yourself. I just want to be able to love everyone that I meet and care for the people that are close to me and people that I don't know even. I've answered this before in a funny way because it's not a religious answer, and I tell people that I want to be like Jesus. I'm not religious, but
you got the hair.
Like, I know, right? And yeah. Oftentimes I wear Birkenstocks, so I have the sandals too.
Yeah.
But, as the story goes, like Jesus was a real person, and like he lived his life caring for others selflessly, doing these selfless acts for everybody around him, no matter who they were, rich, poor, whatever. And that's kind of like a good example. To me, that's a good example for how to live your life, is respecting, like you said, everybody around you, loving everybody around you. And ultimately, I think that will create the most fulfilled and happy version of myself. And so to answer that question, it's, I want to be me, but everything else I just said to preface that, I just want to be me.
Sounds simple, but it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
Man, thank you for reciprocating the question, by the way. I really appreciate that. And thank you again for meeting up, hanging out. Like I said, I think it was fate. It was definitely meant to be, the fact that we're both going to be here. And yeah, I'll put where you can find Will on all his social media platforms in the description of this video. But yeah, dude, it was a really great conversation. Awesome hanging out with you. Glad I got to make you some coffee and show you how to make some coffee. So yeah, thank you for coming out, man.
No problem. Thank you.